He passed away last week. I had no idea until.
All right, good afternoon, Town Board. Sorry for the delay. We're streaming live on channel what was formerly 22. I think it's 1310 now. We're streaming to YouTube. Phone lines are open for this meeting. You may begin. And Eric Shantz is in the waiting room. I'll admit him as well.
He doesn't need to come in until well, you can bring him in, but he's here for the second public hearing.
Okay, I'll let him in. I'll let him in for that. Then. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the East Hampton Town Board meeting of Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Carol, if you could please read the roll call.
Present.
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 Present. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so tonight we have 3 public hearings followed by public portion. We ask you to kindly keep your comments to 3 minutes, and then we have town board resolutions. But first, we're going to hear from our town historian. Welcome, Hugh.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. We're not going to talk about the Hurricane 38 because it didn't happen until September 21st. So we're going to put that off to next week because there's something more important. First of all, Charles Hummel died. I don't know if you knew who Charles Hummel was. He was the leading expert on Domini furniture. His book, With Hammer in Hand, is the definitive study of the Domini furniture and their tools. And we have the original Domini workshops in our town. They're on the same place where they were for hundreds of years, and you can visit them through the East Hampton Historical Society, okay? Charles Hummel. We have been determined to be a finalist in the essay contest of Building America, how towns have shaped our country's past, present, and future. With the help of Andrea Meyer, the head of the Long Island collection, we have put together a 750-word essay on what makes East Hampton so special. And Andrea is the one who beat this thing into submission to get the 750 words, okay? You ready? I'm going to read some of them. I think we emailed you a copy, Madam Supervisor.
You did. So this is a contest that was the New York Association of Towns, and if we get selected, they bring a video crew here and to be part of a kind of a documentary they're putting together for next year.
Yeah, we're waiting for them to get back to us, okay? Okay.
But you submitted early. It wasn't due until, I believe, November, so they probably are waiting till they get all the submissions.
Okay. Well, in 1686, almost a century before the Constitution, the Duncan Patent established municipal self-government throughout through East Hampton Town's Board of Trustees. The patent reflected local protest and is visible at the East Hampton Library's Long Island collection. President Washington commissioned the Montauk Point Lighthouse, which was completed in 1796. It remains an active lighthouse, assisting ships approaching New York Harbor and Long Island Sound, allowing shipping and commerce to flourish. Artist Thomas Moran joined early American expeditions to document the Grand Canyon and America's western frontier, whose beauty he captured in artwork that helped create the national parks. And yet he and his wife, Mary Nimmo Moran, made their home and studio in East Hampton, enchanted by its beauty. Gardiner's Island, the first English settlement on Long Island, preserves an environment and wildlife dating back to 1639. The island remains a haven for endangered species, including the osprey. Sag Harbor's Long Wharf, the western edge of East Hampton, whaling voyages ventured to the edges of the globe, carrying the first Americans to Antarctica and Japan, and making Sag Harbor one of the largest 19th century American whaling ports. Eastville, a freedmen's community in East Hampton, Western End, was home to whalers from three ethnicities. that close? Okay. Its legacy led to the development of Azurest, one of the first planned home communities for African-American professionals designed by Black female architect Amazali Meredith. 2 neighboring communities were added between 1947 and 1952, and all 3 are on the National Register. East Hampton's Presbyterian Church ordained Reverend Samson Occam, one of the first published Indian authors and autobiographers. Occam married into the Montauk tribe and played a key role in fundraising to establish Dartmouth College. New York's Board of Regents chartered East Hampton's Clinton Academy as their first co-educational institution of higher learning, enrolling women in 1784. East Hampton's Mary Woodhouse generally established one of the earliest combined performing arts exhibition and cultural centers at Guildhall in 1931, more than a decade before Mayor LaGuardia's New York City Center. 3 generations of the Huntington family were medical doctors in East Hampton, and their records are in the Long Island collection. Dr. George E. Huntington reviewed these records and recognized patterns of symptoms within families as a hereditary neurological condition in 1872, now known as Huntington's disease. Sisters Nancy and Alice Wexley used that geological records in the Long Island collection to rapidly compile a genetic data pool that enabled researchers to identify the gene for Huntington's. Montauk's Camp Wyckoff served as an early quarantine area for troops returning from the Spanish-American War, according to Sanitary Commission guidelines, including Teddy Roosevelt, who built his future political activities upon his wartime leadership. East Hampton's Lee Hayes was a Tuskegee Airman. This courageous group of World War II African-American military airmen fought through segregation and discrimination, achieving notable combat records and playing a significant role in the war. The 1902 Amagansett Life-Saving Station is a museum dedicated to the history of the life-saving service and Coast Guard in East Hampton. The modern Coast Guard emerged from the life-saving service. The museum remains on its original site where Nazi saboteurs landed during World War II, one of the few invasions of the American mainland. Freetown, a second freedmen's community within East Hampton, is home to the Fowler House. The building is the first and only designated landmark in the country recognizing the Montauk Indians. And we have 7 historical societies celebrating East Hampton's rich history, preserving historic structures, and operating tours, ensuring the town's influential role of our country's past is remembered today and in the future. Now you can imagine what didn't make the cut. That's how much is in this town. Of the history in this town. It's a testament to past town boards and past historical societies. And I'll leave you with my 3 favorite words: Cranberry Holes Ridge.
Thank you, Hugh. All right, so now, Carol, if you could read the first public hearing notice.
Public hearings will be held live and in person by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV channel 22 and available for live stream on the LTV website. The public shall be permitted to appear in person but may also provide comments on the matter by being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person, by agent, by attorney, or by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton. Comments may also be submitted to the Town Clerk by email to cbrennan@ehamptonny.gov. All comments must be received by the Town Clerk by the date and time of the public hearing. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town's website for any changes and for updated information. Take notice that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on September 18th at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard in the Town Board Meeting Room, East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, to consider the funding of the repurchase of a house currently owned by Masako Nita, located at 326 Accabonac Road in East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-149-2. .8 in order to maintain the property in the town's affordable home ownership program at a cost to the town of $598,490. The acquisition cost being determined pursuant to the formula contained in the covenants and restrictions filed with the property. The property, once acquired, will be resold to a qualified affordable housing participant. The funds utilized will be taken from the Community Housing Fund budget account CH 898852-703, purchase of real property.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board on this public hearing? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
Stand by.
All right, good evening, Town Board. This is Matthew Sharon at the LTV studio, and just as a point of contact, we're just letting you know that the phone lines are open and they are working, but we have no other callers on the line.
Okay. Motion to close?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Carol, before we, I believe, Matthew, could you bring Eric in for the second public hearing, please? And Carol, could you read the second meeting notice, please?
Please take notice that the town board hereby directs a public hearing shall be held on September 18th at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, to hear any and all persons either for or against a local law entitled, a local law to amend Chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code, Section 255-120 definitions, and Section 255-550 specific standards and safeguards to provide for the new affordable multiple residence use.
Thank you, Carol. Eric, are you here to introduce this public hearing?
I am.
Okay, welcome.
So, yep, hello. Hello, good evening, Town Board. So affordable multiple residence is a proposed new use to be added to the town code that's in keeping with the town's goals of promoting the creation of additional much-needed affordable housing. The concept for affordable multiple residence largely began when the town board was considering code changes for the affordable housing development use. Affordable housing developments require properties of over 3 acres, and the board noted that there are currently some properties within the AHO that are smaller than this, which therefore cannot be properly utilized for affordable housing, as affordable housing development is the only multi-unit type of affordable housing permitted in the AHO currently. Rather than simply reduce the minimum lot area requirement for an affordable housing development, the town proposes to create a new use that is less intensive in terms of housing unit density and which has restrictions keeping it appropriate for smaller properties. The proposed new affordable multiple residence use would only be permitted on properties within the AHO and only provided site plan approval and special permit are issued by the planning board. However, it would otherwise permit a property owner to change a single-family residence to a multiple residence or to build a new multiple residence building of up to 12 units, depending upon lot size. All units created would be rental units with the property owner as the landlord. All units would be required to remain affordable in perpetuity, which means a rent not to exceed 130% of fair market rent. All units would be required to be made available to moderate income families, which means households with incomes not exceeding 130% of area median income. All affordable multiple residence uses would need to meet additional special permit criteria, including, and I'm just summarizing, a minimum lot area of 40,000 square feet, or roughly 1 acre, a maximum of 4 units per acre, a maximum of 12 units on any one site, a maximum of 3 bedrooms per unit and 2 people per bedroom. All setback, coverage, and gross floor area restrictions of the underlying zoning district would have to be complied with. Energy sustainability requirements to promote green energy usage and sustainable landscaping, and legal requirements to ensure that the units created remain affordable in perpetuity. So there are only currently 5 properties of less than 3 acres and within the AHO, which could be possible locations for this use. Of them, only 1 is undeveloped enough to be a feasible location. As such, the town board anticipates that it will be necessary to rezone additional smaller properties to add the AHO to facilitate the creation of affordable multiple residence uses. The local law would also strike the, quote, change of use of single-family residence to two-family or other multiple residence use that's currently in the code. This is similar use that permits converting single-family residences into multiple residences or building new multiple residences. However, this existing use does not require the units to be made affordable and does not restrict that use to the AHO. The specifics of the proposed new use have been crafted over many months through collaboration of the town board, planning department, Office of Housing and Community Development, and the town attorney's office, among others. If adopted, it would be an additional tool that could be utilized to fix the housing crisis in East Hampton.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, Kirby, it looks like you're signed up for this public hearing. Please, welcome.
Good evening. I'm Kirby Mark Antonio, representing the East End Housing Initiative. As you know, I've spent the last 4 years working with the town to promote and expand affordable and workforce housing projects. So needless to say, I'm 100% in favor of anything that opens the door to more affordable projects. And the new code does hold the promise of some new opportunities. However, we need to acknowledge just how many units this might produce. The stated goal is 4 to the acre, a number that is determined by Suffolk County Health Department when using standard residential septic systems. However, that does not apply across the board here. Half of East Hampton, basically any land west of Abrams Path, meaning Springs, 3 Mile Harbor, Northwest, the Village, Wainscott, and Georgica, are located in the Health Department's Zone 5. The maximum units using standard septic in that area is only 2 to the acre, which cuts the number of units in the bulk of East Hampton. As for the rest, going east of Abrams to Montauk, you are in Zone 4, where you can get 4 units to the acre. Of course, that area is almost entirely either built out or preserved, so the possibilities of any project there is again unclear. So noble as the town's intentions are with this new code, on this alone, the yield of projects is probably going to be few and far between. Then there is the economics of doing this. The code eliminates the chances of these projects being condos or co-ops, which means the developer must hold the units themselves and be the landlord. Assume you have a 1-acre parcel in Zone 4 and you could get 4 units. It's worth at least $1 million, no matter where it might be in the town. Then add the most basic costs of building 4 600-square-foot units at an average of $500 per square foot. That adds another $1.2 million. Throw in a few $100,000 for infrastructure, soft costs, legal, and you're up to about $2.5 million. Given the current monthly rent for an affordable 2-bedroom unit of roughly $2,500 a month, that gives the owner a rent roll of roughly $100,000 for a $2.5 million investment. Plus, they have to be the landlord and be responsible for upkeep, insurance, and other miscellaneous costs, all for an annual return of 5%, and with little or no prospect of selling it to someone else at a profit. Given that, I believe you have to make some allowances for selected projects to be co-ops or condos to create a financial structure that would incentivize private landlords to take this route. Since the town will have to start each project with an AHO, I think co-op or condo structures can be examined at that point, and if found reasonable, allowed or not. I also believe the town should look at adding density to any affordable project by using transfer of development rights where proper, and also using the 0.5% tax to help subsidize worthy projects. Needless to say, anything we can do to add to the stock of affordable housing here is a worthwhile goal. But as we go into it with a new law, it would be nice to maximize it as much as possible, given the realities of the situation we find, both from the scarcity of land and also the hesitation that most people who own land would find these economics to be, well, not much of an incentive. So I would suggest that if there are adjustments to be made to this law, it's best to do them before than later. And I would hope that the town would take the time to look into every possibility so that we can yield the most. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirby. Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have 0 callers on the line.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Carol, if you could please read the third meeting notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, September 18th at 6 p.m. or sooner after this matter may be heard, to consider comments of all people with regard to the amendment of Chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code in order to amend 255-141E1 personal wireless facilities Tier 1, a local law amending Chapter 255 zoning, Section 255-1, 41E1, Tier 1, Town Street right-of-ways. 255-1, 41E tiered permit process. The Town of East Hampton Department of Planning shall receive all personal wireless service facility citing applications and assign each application to one of the following tiers. These tiers represent the ranking for the preferred design of future personal wireless service facilities, with Tier 1 applications being the most preferable and Tier 3 applications being the least preferable, where an applicant proposes a new Tier 3 personal service facility. Each applicant shall demonstrate why adequate coverage in the proximity of the site by either a Tier 1 or Tier 2 facilities can be provided.
Thank you, Carol. Matthew, is there anyone on the line for this public hearing?
Mr. Buddha just called in. He may be here for public portion, but I'll unmute him and let's see if he wants to comment on this.
Thank you.
Good evening. Yes, that is correct. I would like to speak not on the public hearing, but with regard to public comment. Thank you.
All right, we have no other callers on the line.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so now we're up to public portion, and Matthew, please put Mr. Buddha through.
Okay, I'll unmute him now.
Thank you.
Good evening, David Buddha. I'd like to comment on at least two topics in my allotted time. First, with regard to Resolution 2025-1259, which is to schedule a public hearing for a urban renewal map modification. This is the matter that actually concerns 213 3 Mile Harbor Road, and yet your notice of public hearing and the notice that will be published and the resolution does not, in fact, mention the relevant address, but rather obscures the relevance of this to anyone that is unfamiliar with the intricacies of the old filed maps. The reference is to a part, the proposed amendment of a part of Winslow Avenue, which is a paper street, which no one knows where Winslow Avenue is because it's a paper street. It doesn't exist except on maps. So if you were a affected landowner, and there are 5 landowners who share a common driveway that is in substandard condition and in urgent need of town road improvement, one would read, even if one were to be handed a copy of this resolution, one would be unable to determine how it might affect them and what property it concerns. So this is totally obscure. As I suggested at the recent work session in Montauk, it's incumbent upon the town, if you're not going to change the code and require the urban renewal map modifications, require actual notification to affected landowners, then you must please give the people who are concerned that might be affected adversely by this proposed action, give them some form of notice. At a minimum, draft the notice so that anyone who reads it would even know where in the town of East Hampton this property is located. That's topic number 1. Topic number 2. A few weeks ago, earlier in September, Council Member Flight said something that really struck home. He was quoted in the East Hampton Press as saying that he thinks the best option with regard to the seniors' proposed new senior citizen center, which is now firmly up in midair, he thinks the best option would be to pursue a multi-purpose community center like the Montauk Playhouse, which he described as being the model of the future. That really struck a nerve He's 110% correct. And even today, the Star published an editorial saying it was time to do a major pivot in your thinking. I noticed that you have on tonight's agenda a resolution with respect to engineering for pickleball at the YMCA. The fact of the matter is that the YMCA has served the town's broad community of all ages and a lot of seniors very well for many years, but it's overcrowded. It has a wonderful pool facility. It doesn't have an indoor gym. The nearest indoor gym where dozens and dozens of people play on a regular basis pickleball, they do yoga, they even do boxing, and they certainly play basketball, is the Montauk Playhouse. What the town needs at your new facility in Abrams Pass is an indoor gym that can be used for all generations, for all ages, for all activities, and not make the new center a geriatric center that only serves people for primarily seniors. And the most exciting activity at the center will be when someone has a 100-year-old birthday. What you need is more active recreation for active seniors, as well as all ages of the community that can be serviced in one facility on the model of the Montauk Playhouse. And certainly the town is ready for another indoor gymnasium that can be used for pickleball, basketball, yoga, and all other athletic activities, and it can be together with the Senior Citizen Center that serves all the needs of people who are elderly and in need of specialized services. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Councilmember Flight, for lighting the fire. That's truly an insightful thought that you were quoted as saying, and I think the town really should follow today's editorial and pivot and broaden the scope and intended uses for the new Senior Citizen Center, make it a community center that the town really would enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Is there anyone else on the line, Matthew?
And we have no additional callers on the line.
Okay, so we're going to move to resolutions. Tom?
Thank you. I'll start with Resolution 2025-1240. This is warrant approval for warrant number 9B, approval of claims in the amount of $4,124,356.74, and on 9A for $48,453.95.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
2025-1241 is professional services. Is for Clay McClaim Associates for professional engineering services for the YMCA pickleball courts. This is resolved that additional costs for this shall be paid for impact of $9,900.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
2025-1242 is a budget modification for the IT department. This is for upgrades to the town clerk's computer software programs. The project was initially funded at $50,000, but now the amount estimated is $70,561. Therefore, we're looking to move $20,561 from maintenance contract software to increase expenditure to town clerk software update.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1243 is a notice to bidders on bid EH 25047. This is for the Cantwell Court Subdivision Lot Clearing Project. Bid will be available September 18th, 2025. And they'll be due back October 9th, 2025. For more information, you can contact the purchasing department at purchasing@ehamptonny.gov between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1244 is to accept bid number EH 25038. This is for the CDCH sanitary system. Contract is being awarded to Clear River Environmental Services at a total cost of $116,250.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1245 to accept bid number EH 25039. This is for the Montauk Police Substation IA system. This contract has been awarded to Keith Grimes. The amount of the contract is for $138,425.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
2025-1246 is to accept bid EH 25041. This is for the annual drainage contract A, B, and C. This is a contract has been awarded to Keith Grimes. The total amount of this contract is for $260,575.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Sorry, I just there was two contracts. Contract B, I apologize. Contract B was $297,600. Next, we have 2025-1247. This is to terminate seasoned employees in the Recreation Department. It is Jonathan Aranzazu, Lorena Munoz, Karen German, and Cody Ortega.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-1248 is to amend contract and purchase orders for DB Bennett on the Carl Fisher Annex. Whereas by Resolution 2023-789, the Town Board retained DB Bennett for engineering services for the restoration of the Carl Fisher House in order to satisfy Suffolk County Department of Health for sanitary IA systems. The original proposal and contract did not include these services and costs. DB Bennett has provided a proposal for this work at a cost not to exceed $5,500.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025 is to amend Resolution 2025-1249 is to amend Resolution 2025-77. This is a stipend for the Commissioner of Public Works. It's amended to reflect the correct amount of $27,050.40, retroactive to Jan 1st, 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1250 is to authorize transfer of asset. Be it resolved that the Town Finance Department hereby reimburses the CA Fund by transferring interfund transfer the amount of $11,203.78.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1251, this is a budget modification for Buildings and Grounds Department. Be it resolved that the Town Board directs the Budget Office to make the modification to decrease the amount of $3,000 from full-time salaries and increase the same amount to office expense.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2025-1252 is a budget modification for the Joint Fuel Facility. This is to decrease fuel purchases in the amount of $1,000 and increase building and maintenance supplies in the amount of $1,000.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1253 is a status change from seasonal to part-time employees in the Recreation Department for September 25. AIDS employees listed as below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1254 is to terminate employees in the Recreation Department for resignation. Jessica Caneve, Taft Keyswater, and Luis Perez.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1255 is to terminate seasoned employees in the Recreational Department for the end of season 2025. Employees listed as below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1256 is to terminate seasoned employees in the Parks Department for September 25. Be it resolved that Doe and Rogers is hereby terminated from the seasonal position, effective retroactive to August 29th, 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-1257 is to terminate seasoned employees in the Parks Department for the end of season, September 25. Employees and dates as listed below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 1258, and this is a notice of public hearing. Resolved that the Town Board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held on October 16th, 2025 at 6 p.m. to amend Chapter 240, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 58, Schedule 8, Stop intersections, and this is to consider a stop sign on Westgate Road in northwest direction of travel with the intersection at the crossways.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1259 is notice of public hearing for urban renewal map EH2 6-2 urban renewal parcel 16, allow for abandonment of part of Winslow Avenue. This is a public hearing will be held let's see, what's the date?
October 16th.
The public hearing will be held at October 16th at 6 p.m. To consider changes to the urban renewal parcel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1260 is to accept proposal EH 2025-104, Sustainable Planning in Coastal Communities, Risk Reduction, Revitalization, and Restoration, New York's Department of State Contract Number C100-2612, and this has been awarded to James Lima Planning and Development.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1261 is to accept scenic easement in urban renewal parcel 61 in EH2A. The location, the grantor is 2 Mulford LLC. The location is 2 Mulford Avenue, East Hampton, and the reviewing agency is the Town Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to withdraw Resolution 1262.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1263 is to amend budget account in Resolution 2025-1142 for Samantha Shore. Samantha was promoted and appointed on a provisional basis to full-time position of environmental analyst. And resolve that Samantha be paid bi-weekly from the appropriate budget account, which is CA 60% and A 40%, with no change in hourly rate or schedule, effective retroactive to December 15th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1264 is a budget modification in animal control, moving the amount of $3,700 from full-time salaries to other equipment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1237, this is a notice of public hearing.
You need to do, you have to untable it first.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to untable Resolution 1237.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2025-1237, this is a notice of a public hearing, 2026 Community Development Block Grant Funds. The public hearing is hereby scheduled for November 6, 2025 at 6 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1265, this is to pay out upon resignation of Tricia Olszewski, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong,
Second.
and a total amount, I'm sorry, of $6,159.39.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion? I would just like to thank Tricia for her service. She was a great town employee and for many years served nobly.
Seconded in that too. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-1266 is an RFP EH 2025-105. This is for the advertising concession services at the East Hampton Town Airport. The proposal is available September 25th, and it's due back October 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1267 is to accept bid EH 25036 for the East Hampton Town Police Department dispatch room renovations, and this goes to Ronald Webb Builder LLC for the total cost of $791,875.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1268 is to approve a license agreement with the Spring School for the use of the town building, and this is for each school year and shall end on June 30th, 2027 at a rate of $2,000 per month for the duration of the agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1269 is to authorize prosecution in lieu agreement for 10 Old Lazy Point LLC and Vod Chartuni. And this is to delay prosecution of zoning and code while the property owners secure and implement the necessary approvals to obtain property compliance with town code and building code.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1270 is to continue retention of outside counsel Eli D. Ilbot for 2025 in an amount not to exceed $2,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1271 is for LK McLean Associates, Professional Engineering Services, Construction Support Services for the East Hampton Town Police Dispatch Room renovations. And this is, the financial impact is $79,280.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1272 is to pay a NYMER deductible for James Burke, who had filed a civil action against the town. No relation. And the town hereby agrees to pay NYMER in the amount of $7,203.23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1273 is a budget modification for the airport for year-end building maintenance costs. And this is to decrease aviation fuel in the amount of $2,500 and increase building and maintenance supplies in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1274 is a budget modification for general insurance costs, and this is removing money from the A, B, highway, housing, and sanitation funds in the amount of $141,700 and increasing the expenditure line in those funds as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1275 is a budget modification for dental and optical insurance costs. And again, we're decreasing A fund, B fund, community preservation fund, and highway in the amount of $24,399 and increasing funds for the same amount in the same funds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1276 is to authorize an emergency grant to Project MOST, Montauk Childcare. We were still working on this, otherwise we would have brought it up at our work session on Tuesday. Whereas Project MOST assumed responsibility for the Montauk Childcare Program located at the Montauk Playhouse Community Center on July 5th, 2024. And whereas during the transition of the childcare program to Project MOST, the deadline for filing for a Town of East Hampton grant in the 2025 budget was missed, and whereas Project MOST has informed the town that additional funding is needed for their Montauk Child Care Program during 2025, and whereas the town of East Hampton, in recognizing the crucial need for childcare for our hardworking families, especially in the hamlet of Montauk, is supportive of issuing an emergency grant to Project MOST. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes an emergency grant to Project MOST in an amount not to exceed $75,000 for operating costs under an amended agreement as per the terms to be drafted by the Office of the Town Attorney, and be it further resolved that we do the following budget modification, and that's to decrease full-time salaries in the A Fund for the amount of $75,000 and increase Project MOST in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1277 is to authorize attendance at SAMPO, State Association of Municipal Purchasing Officials. There's a conference in Wading River, and Jeannie Carrozza, Lisa Valchik, and Rhonda Daniels will be attending October 21st through October 23rd at no cost to the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1278 is to authorize a payment for a 2024 Staples invoice for the town attorney in the amount of $167.28.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1279 is to appoint part-time police officers to the East Hampton Town Police Department for September 2025, Nathaniel De Pasquale, Stephen Krasuski, and Cassidy Samuelson.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 1280 is to appoint part-time security guard Dylan Davis at the hourly rate of $27.50, effective September 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1281 is to issue a payment of 2024 invoices to Farrell Fritz PC in the amount of $28,810.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1282 is to schedule a special meeting on Thursday, October 2nd, 2025 at 2 p.m. for the purpose of holding an executive session to discuss real estate and contracts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I have Resolution 1283, provisional appointment to account clerk in the building department for Brenda Muniz. Resolved that Brenda is appointed on a provisional basis to the full-time position of account clerk within the building department at the annual salary of $56,339.71 for a 40-hour work week, effective September 22nd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1284, this is to approve an agreement with Granicus for town clerk software tools for agenda management, meeting efficiency, webcasting, and citizen engagement at a cost not to exceed $70,560.15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I think that's it. Does anyone have anything they need to bring up?
No.
Okay, do I have a motion to go into exec session?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for personnel and contracts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy this beautiful weather, and thank you, Matthew at LTV.
Good evening.